G'day folks, welcome to this introduction and overview of Typhoon, the Driver Moscow. This was published by GMT Games in 1995, designed by Vance von Borries. It is part of Vance and GMT's East Front series, which features these titles on the right, which I only very recently picked up. So thank you very much, Lex, for selling me these. You may notice this includes titles like Barbarossa, Army Group South, Army Group North, Crimea, and Kiev to Rostov. Missing, of course, Barbarossa, Army Group Central. Thankfully, this is the first title that GMT is republishing via a second edition. Now, I have pre-ordered that, and that'll kind of complete my series. I probably won't get all the other redesigns, reprints. I'll just get that Army Group Central one. But what I'm going to do is, I have Typhoon set up here, and my plan is to use the second edition rules. This is Barbarossa Army Group Center, 1941. This is the second edition 2021 rules, and they are available on the GMT website, the page for the pre-order page for Army Group Center. So I've been reading these and preparing to play Typhoon using those rules. From what I can grasp, it's not too difficult to sort of retrofit these rules to this game. There are a few things missing in terms of movement rates, but and I've been contrasting with the original rulebook here, which is not a great deal different, really. The fundamentals are much the same. I've been trying to figure out what has changed in the 26 years since this was published. I can't see anything particularly evident or substantial. Clarification of errata, cleanup of errata, and the like. Many of the charts remain much the same, so I'm pretty confident I can play. I'm going to give it a go anyway, playing Typhoon using the second edition rules. So what do we have here? What kind of game is this? Well, Hex Encounter. It's good old Hex Encounter goodness. You've got, units have movement rates. You've got attack factors, defense factors. There are various types of units, different nationalities. Units will have their unit type in the NATO symbol within the box. You've got, so many different types of units. You've got, and they're kind of divided in different categories. So you've got your armoured motorised units, other non-armoured motorised units like your motorcycle infantry, motorised infantry, motorised engineers and the likes. Then you've got a lot of non-motorised units, and I guess the main differentiation there is different movement costs to move through terrain. There are sticky zones of control, and you pay additional movement costs to enter an enemy zone of control, and you must end. You normally can't move zone of control to zone of control, but you can do special infiltration movement, which lets you do so. What else? Various terrain costs. There are interesting movement rules. I made a post about this the other day, where the rules as written say that when you use a road to enter a hex, you'll pay the full terrain cost if you don't leave that hex using the road. But there's an optional rule that I'm going to play by where you just pay the road cost, because I'm not a huge fan of that. I won't go on about it because I've posted about it before. A defining feature of this game, perhaps, is the sequence of play and how the Axis player can move, make their attack declarations, and then engage in combat. And then they have their motorized, in effect, exploitation phase, followed by their engineering phase, whereas the Soviets have to do their motorized movement, a limited, restricted motorized movement first, and then their combat phase, and then they have movement afterwards. And this really shapes the dynamic of the game. It presents limitations to the Soviets on the defense and opportunities for the Axis powers on the attack. There are variable weather effects, and that's probably a key complicating factor in terms of understanding the movement of units. Various things happen depending on So there are weather, I don't know the correct terminology, but weather conditions. So it might be snowing. And then you roll on the weather table to determine it's somewhere around. There's a lot of charts of this game to determine the weather effects. You can have additional weather effects, like it could be frost, and rivers can freeze, which kind of negates movement penalties and opens up zones of control. All these kind of things that change depending on the weather. You've got, you can't quite see it here, it's off to the right, but sort of I don't know what they're called, a casualty track, and units move up this casualty track. They take sort of steps to move up this track, and they can be, they can arrive as replacements on the board. What else? Typical CRT, and it's really nice to note that the CRT, which is here, hasn't changed in 26 years. It's the same combat results table with the most recent version of these games. The map art is very nice. This is, incidentally, I have set up scenario 1 from Typhoon. This is last gamble for Moscow. We're at the turn track. We're on turn 24. Yeah, which is mid-November, 1941. And well, you can see Moscow right in the middle here. And the Germans are trying to basically drive on Moscow. And the victory conditions for this scenario are that the Axis wins automatically if they occupy any Moscow hex. Otherwise, they're trying to achieve score victory points for controlling various other hexes. So it's going to be a drive on Moscow, and we'll see how that goes. So, as I said, this is going to be my first learning game in this East Front series. I'm hoping to get through a lot of these, and very much looking forward to it, because this has been a game on my radar for such a long time. And as I said, I've only recently picked these up, so I'll be having some playthroughs of these and reports, and I'll let you know how this all goes. Thanks, everyone, and take care.